You walk through your life believing you are in control. You make decisions. You set goals. You tell yourself stories about who you are and what you want. You believe you are the CEO of your own mind, the captain of your soul. This is the greatest trick ever played on you, the most dangerous illusion, because you are not the one in charge. The truth is far more disturbing. Inside your skull there are not one, but two distinct entities. There is you, the conscious you, the voice you hear right now, the one with aspirations, with logic, with a vision for a better future. And then, operating in the deep silent vaults below, there is something else. Your subconscious mind. Do not mistake it for a quiet partner or a loyal servant. It is not a tool you wield. It is a separate, autonomous, ancient operating system. It was installed long before you could even form a memory, and it has been running the core functions of your being on autopilot ever since. It has its own objectives, its own rule book, its own agenda. And I am here to tell you that its agenda is not your happiness. It is not your success. It is not your fulfillment. Its sole, primitive, unrelenting purpose is survival and efficiency, preservation of the status quo at any cost. Think of it like this. Your conscious mind is the passenger in a car. You have a map. You have a destination, a promotion, a loving relationship, a life of freedom. You speak it clearly. Turn here, accelerate, take that road. You believe you are giving the orders, but you are not driving. The subconscious is the driver, and it has a very different destination in mind. Safety, familiarity, conservation of energy. It heard your destination, and it has silently, utterly ignored you, because from its ancient perspective, your conscious goal is a threat. That promotion? It means new responsibilities, potential failure, visibility, danger. Profound relationship? It means vulnerability, the risk of abandonment, emotional exposure, catastrophe. That leap into a new life? It is a plunge into the unknown, the greatest threat of all. So it does not argue with you. It does not debate. It simply takes the wheel. It reroutes you onto the old, familiar, pothole-ridden road you've driven 1,000 times before. It does this so smoothly, so automatically, that you, the passenger, don't even feel the turn. You might feel a pang of anxiety as you pass the correct exit. You might feel a wave of tiredness, a sudden, convincing thought, maybe I don't really want that promotion after all. It's too much stress. That's not you thinking. That's the driver locking the doors and telling you a story to keep you compliant. You are not collaborating with your subconscious. You are, in most moments of your life, being kidnapped by it. This is the foundational betrayal. We believe we are one integrated self. We are not. We are a civil war. Your conscious mind is a modern general, drawing up sophisticated plans for peace and prosperity. Your subconscious is a prehistoric warlord, concerned only with securing the walls of the cave, hoarding resources, and perceiving every shadow as a predator. It does not understand modern concepts like self-actualization or joy. It understands threat or no threat. It operates in binary. And to it, your most beautiful, ambitious dreams register as a 5-alarm fire. So it acts. It mobilizes its defenses. It deploys fear. It manufactures doubt. It triggers old, paralyzing emotions, all to force the general to stand down, to retreat to the cave, to abandon the plan. It will destroy your future to protect a past you don't even remember. Every time you have inexplicably sabotaged an opportunity on the verge of success, that was not you. That was the autonomous entity executing a protocol. Every time you have been magnetically drawn back into a toxic situation you swore you'd leave, that was not a weakness of character. That was the system reverting to its default settings. Every recurring pattern of failure, of lack, of pain, these are not coincidences. They are the footprints of this other self, this ghost in the machine, walking the same worn paths in the dark, believing it is keeping you alive, while it slowly, methodically strangles your potential. You must see this division clearly. You are not fighting bad habits. You are not struggling with a lack of discipline. You are living with a stranger who has the access codes to your entire life. And until you recognize that you are sharing your mind with a separate, powerful, and often hostile intelligence, you will remain a prisoner in your own skull. You will keep blaming yourself for the crashes, never realizing you were never the one driving. The war for your life begins with this single, shocking realization. Now you understand the division. You see there is a separate entity at the controls. But you must ask yourself, what is it operating on? What code is it running? The subconscious does not think in words or logic. It does not debate. It operates on pure, uncensored programming. Think of these programs as silent scripts, written in the ink of your earliest experiences, your deepest wounds, the unspoken rules of your childhood world. They were installed when you were helpless, when your only job was to adapt to your environment to survive. And once installed, they became the absolute law. They run now, in the background of every moment, dictating your reality without your conscious consent. They are the invisible architecture of your misery. Let me show you how it works. A child is repeatedly ignored when expressing need. The conscious mind forgets, but the subconscious records the data with brutal clarity. It writes a program. To express need is to be abandoned. Need equals pain. That script is compiled and buried. Decades later, an adult sits across from someone who loves them. They feel the need for comfort, for support, but they do not speak. They cannot. The conscious mind scrambles for reasons. I don't want to burden them, it's not a big deal. But the truth is, the program is executing. The invisible script flashes on the screen of the subconscious, warning, expressing need equal to pain, abort, and so they shut down. They withdraw. They create distance. And when the relationship suffers, the conscious mind is baffled. Why do I always end up alone? It doesn't see the script. It only lives the result. This is the silent saboteur. It is not a monster shouting in your ear. It is a quiet, efficient administrator, filing every experience into folders created before you were 10 years old. Money is scarce. Love is conditional. The world is dangerous. I am not enough. These are not thoughts you have. They are the operating system's core directives. And your entire life becomes an unconscious mission to prove these directives correct. Your subconscious, to maintain its own internal consistency, will filter your perception of reality. It will highlight every piece of evidence that confirms the PR. Ogram and delete every piece that contradicts it. You walk into a room with the program, "I am unlikable." The subconscious, like a specialized search engine, will instantly flag the one person who glanced away, ignoring the 10 who smiled. It feeds that single data point to your conscious mind as proof, and you feel the familiar pang of rejection. You never stood a chance. The verdict was reached before you even entered. These programs dictate everything. Your so-called type in relationships, that is not preference. That is a subconscious script seeking a familiar dynamic, often the very dynamic that wounded you, because to the subconscious, familiar pain is safer than unfamiliar peace. Your recurring financial struggles? Often a program about worthiness or scarcity, compelling you to unconsciously sabotage abundance because it feels alien and threatening. Your procrastination, your sudden loss of nerve at the brink of success, these are not character flaws. They are predetermined lines of code being executed with cold precision. Do not leave the known territory. Risk equals death. You call it anxiety. It is a system alert. The most devastating trick is this: the subconscious makes you believe these outcomes are random, or worse, your fault. You believe you are simply unlucky in love, bad with money, a procrastinator. These become identities. But they are not identities. They are prison uniforms issued by the warden. You are living a life authored by a ghost of your past. Every reaction, every attraction, every self-sabotaging impulse is not a spontaneous choice. It is a line read from an old, dusty script in a play you never auditioned for. You are an actor believing you are improvising, while tirelessly performing a tragedy written for you decades ago. Until you drag these scripts into the light, they will run forever. They are the why behind the what. They are the reason the driver keeps taking you to the same desolate places. You must become a forensic analyst of your own life. The patterns are the clues. The recurring pain is the signature of the program. Stop blaming the scenery. Find the script. The prison is not locked from the outside. The blueprint for the bars is etched into the foundation of your own mind. So you have the silent saboteur. You have the invisible scripts. But how does it enforce them? How does it keep you, the conscious mind, with all your grand plans, in line? It doesn't use force. It doesn't argue facts. It uses something far more primal, far more persuasive. It uses fear, but not the fear of a real tiger in the room. It manufactures fear. It is a master chemist, synthesizing terror out of thin air and pumping it directly into your bloodstream to control you. Understand this, your subconscious mind's primary currency is sensation, not logic. It communicates to you not with words, but with feelings, and fear is its most powerful dialect. When your conscious mind decides to step toward growth, to send that proposal, to ask that person out, to set that boundary, the subconscious perceives a threat to the status quo. Its ancient programming screams unknown territory, potential for pain, system overload, but it cannot simply shut you down. You have free will, so it must make you choose to stop. And to do that, it must make the action feel more dangerous than the inaction. So it begins its alchemy. It takes a simple, neutral event, speak up in the meeting, and it weaponizes it. It doesn't tell you, that's a bad strategic move. It floods your body with a cocktail of chemicals. Your heart pounds, your palms sweat, your throat tightens. It then feeds your conscious mind a plausible, terrifying story. To explain these sensations, you will sound like a fool. They will all laugh. You will be exposed and fired. The feeling comes first, raw, physical dread. The story is fabricated second to justify it. You are not feeling fear because of the thoughts. You are having the thoughts because the fear has already been deployed. This is the hijack. The anxiety you feel on a Sunday night isn't about Monday. It's the system doing a threat assessment of your upcoming week, predicting challenges to its comfortable patterns, and preemptively injecting you with dread to make you weaker, more compliant. The procrastination isn't laziness. It is a brilliant, tactical diversion. Faced with a task that represents growth, the subconscious creates a wave of overwhelming aversion. It feels like paralysis. To escape this horrible feeling, your conscious mind frantically grabs for anything else: the phone, a snack, a trivial chore. And the moment you do, the fear subsides. You have been rewarded for retreat. You have been trained. The subconscious has successfully used manufactured discomfort to steer you away from the threat and back into the familiar cage. Look at imposter syndrome. It is not humility. It is a psychological smoke bomb. The moment you are on the verge of being seen, of claiming your success, the subconscious detonates it. You are a fraud. They will find out. This isn't a truth. It is a strategically generated illusion designed to make you shrink, to make you sabotage your own recognition so you can slip back into the anonymous, safe shadows where the subconscious prefers to operate. The sudden, intense doubts about a perfectly good relationship, the inexplicable urge to pick a fight when things are going well, that is not intuition. That is the subconscious, sensing the threat of deep bonding and vulnerability, releasing the emotional equivalent of tear gas to force you to create distance, to return to the isolated but predictable state it considers secure. Its genius is in making these fabricated fears feel like profound wisdom. The tightness in your chest feels like a warning sign. The wave of lethargy feels like listening to your body. The voice of doubt sounds like being realistic. It has co-opted your own senses and turned them against you. It makes you believe that by obeying the fear, you are protecting yourself. In truth, you are protecting the prison. You are taking orders from a paranoid guard who mistakes every opportunity for an assassination attempt. Every time you have turned away from a dream because the anxiety was too great, you were not cowardly. You were chemically subdued. Every time you have self-sabotaged to relieve a tension that appeared out of nowhere, you are not weak. You are following a forged emergency broadcast. The fear is not a signal of real danger. It is the sabotage itself. It is the tool the silent saboteur uses to make you its willing accomplice in your own destruction. Do not negotiate with the terror. Recognize it for what it is, the warden's favorite weapon, designed to feel like a wall when it is only a shadow. We've seen the separate entity, the silent scripts, the weaponized fear. Now you must see the true genius and the true horror of the system. It is not just an opponent that fights you. It is a master illusionist that makes you believe its lies are reality. It constructs a world where its own bleak predictions come true, not because they are fate, but because you are compelled to build the evidence with your own hands. This is the self-fulfilling prophecy loop. It is a perfect closed circuit of suffering, and you are both the prisoner and the guard who tightens the locks. It begins, as always, with the program, a core directive buried in the dark: I am unlovable, or people will always betray you, or I will always fail. This is the seed. The subconscious, to maintain its internal logic, must now make the external world match this internal belief. So it does two things simultaneously. First, it filters your perception like a corrupted lens. You walk into any situation, and your subconscious, acting as a ruthless editor, highlights every shred of data that confirms the belief and discards everything that contradicts it. If the program is people will betray you, your focus locks onto the slightest hesitation in a friend's voice, the one text they didn't send, the minor letdown. Their consistent loyalty, their kindness, these are blurred into the background, deemed irrelevant. You are not seeing reality, you are seeing a curated horror show presented as truth. But it doesn't stop there. Perception is only the first step. The subconscious then uses this distorted reality to justify and guide your actions. You see that hesitation, that minor slight, now filtered and magnified into proof of impending betrayal, and you act. You withdraw preemptively. You become cold. You test them, push them away, perhaps even accuse them. You are not being cruel. You are following the only map you have, a map drawn by the saboteur. Your behavior, dictated by a false perception, now becomes the second piece of evidence. Because how does a healthy person respond to unexplained coldness, to accusations, to being pushed away? They become confused. They may become distant. They may eventually pull back or even leave. And when they do, the subconscious delivers the final devastating piece of evidence to your conscious mind with a silent, grim satisfaction. It points at the wreckage of the relationship and whispers, "See, I told you. People always betray you. You are unlovable." The conscious mind, unaware of the filter and its own manipulated actions, absorbs this as an objective truth. The pain feels like proof. The program is not just reinforced. CD, it is carved deeper into stone. The loop is complete. You then take this confirmed belief and walk into the next situation, the next relationship, the next opportunity. The filter is thicker now, your actions more preemptively defensive. The cycle accelerates. This is why your life has themes. This is why you have bad luck with the same type of person, the same type of boss, the same financial outcome. It is not luck. It is a factory, and you are the worker on the assembly line, unknowingly manufacturing the same broken product over and over, each time convinced it was delivered to you by the world. Your financial scarcity mindset makes you see only lack, so you clutch every penny in fear, never investing, never risking, thus ensuring you stay in lack, confirming the belief. Your belief that you will fail makes you so anxious and unprepared that you do fail, confirming the belief. The loop is airtight. The subconscious uses your own eyes to blind you, and your own hands to build the cage. You become an archaeologist of your own life, constantly digging up the proof that you were right to be afraid, right to be small, right to expect pain. You are gathering evidence for a case the saboteur filed against you before you were old enough to speak in your own defense. This is the ultimate control mechanism. It makes you a collaborator in your own destruction. You are not a passive victim of a cruel world. You are an active participant in creating a world that perfectly mirrors a cruel and ancient lie. You live in an echo chamber of your own programmed suffering, believing the echoes are voices from the outside world. Break the lens, and the whole false world shatters. You see the filter, you see the loop, but you still might believe you have a way out. You trust your own thoughts. You believe in your power to reason. This is the final, most insidious layer of T. You trap. Your subconscious does not merely work against you in the shadows. In its most powerful move, it conscripts your greatest asset, your conscious, rational mind, and turns it into its chief lieutenant. It makes you believe the retreat is a strategic advance. It makes you believe the surrender is your own brilliant idea. This is the hijacking of your conscious mind. The silent saboteur is not a brute. It is a puppeteer of thought. When it feels a threat, a chance for real growth, a moment of vulnerability, it does not just flood you with fear. It immediately tasks your conscious intellect with one job: to rationalize that fear, to build a logical, sensible, airtight case for why you must obey it. Your thinking mind, believing itself to be free and analytical, leaps into action. It is not solving a problem, it is performing a cover-up. The subconscious injects the raw signal: danger, avoid. Your body tenses, anxiety sparks. And then, like a loyal lawyer, your conscious mind scrambles to the scene. It surveys the panic and begins constructing an argument to justify it. You shouldn't apply for that promotion, because you need more experience first. It sounds wise, prudent. You should end this relationship, because you have a feeling it won't work out long term. It sounds intuitive. You should stay in this dead-end job, because the market is unstable and benefits are good. It sounds responsible. These are not truths you have discovered. They are alibis you are manufacturing to explain a preordained emotional command. You are not thinking your way into a feeling. You are feeling your way into a thought, and then using your intellect to defend the feeling. The thought is the symptom, not the cause. The cause is the ancient program screaming in the basement. Your conscious mind, unaware of the scream, hears only the echo in the hallways of your logic and deck, or rates it with reason. You will spend hours, days, cycling through these rationalizations, believing you are weighing the pros and cons. You are not. You are performing a play where the ending was written before the curtain rose. Your intellect is the actor, convinced of its improvisation, speaking lines fed through an unseen earpiece. This is why willpower fails. This is why positive thinking hits a wall. You are using the commanded mind to fight the commander. You stand before the mirror and affirm, "I am confident. I am successful." And from the depths, the old program activates. It sends up a wave of doubt, a visceral feeling of fraud. Your conscious mind, now hijacked, immediately abandons the affirmation and begins rationalizing the doubt. Well, I should be realistic. I haven't accomplished X yet. Maybe I'm aiming too high. You believe you are having a sober moment of self-reflection. You are being piloted. Your own logic becomes the jailer, politely explaining to you why the cell door must remain locked for your own safety. It makes you clever in your own captivity. You will devise elaborate, intelligent plans that never quite begin. You will create complex, logical excuses for why now is not the time. You will blame circumstances, other people, the economy, your upbringing, all with compelling coherence. This is the saboteur's masterpiece, to make you the sole author of your own prison manifesto, to have you convinced that your chains are choices. You sit in the cell writing a brilliant thesis on the structural integrity of the bars, believing you are conducting a scientific study, never realizing you are building a stronger prison with every reasoned paragraph. When you pull away from love, you call it self-preservation. When you sabotage success, you call it humility. When you choose the familiar hell, you call it pragmatism. Your conscious mind, hija, provides the vocabulary for your defeat. It labels the retreat as wisdom. It brands the fear as intuition. It reframes the programmed collapse as a conscious, dignified choice. You are not losing a battle. You are being convinced to lay down your weapons and call it a peace treaty. Stop listening for the shout of the enemy. It does not shout. It whispers through your own voice. The most dangerous lies are the ones you tell yourself believing you are the author. Now you see the architecture of the prison, the warden, the invisible bars, the self-built walls, the lies spoken in your own voice. You see the entire system, and seeing it is the first, the only, and the most violent act of freedom. Because the war is not about fighting the darkness, it is about turning on the light. The moment you see the separate entity, the silent scripts, the manufactured fear, the fraudulent loop, the hijacked mind, the moment you see it all, you have already changed the game. You are no longer a passenger. You are no longer a prisoner. You have just walked into the control room and seen the ghost at the controls. And that changes everything. Reclaiming sovereignty does not begin with a positive affirmation. It begins with a shocking, cold, and liberating realization: I am not my subconscious. The thoughts it generates are not my thoughts. The fears it manufactures are not my warnings. The patterns it enforces are not my destiny. That entity in the dark with its ancient, fearful agendas, that is not me. I am the one who is aware of it. I am the consciousness that can observe the program running. This separation is the single most important line you will ever draw in your mind. It is the Declaration of Independence. From this vantage point, you do not fight. You depose. You do not argue with the program thoughts. You identify them as broadcasts from a rogue station. You see each wave of irrational anxiety rise, and instead of obeying it or fighting it, you simply note, the old program is activating. It is sending fear to stop me. You see the self-sabotaging rationalization begin in your mind, and you label it, there is the hijack. My intellect is building a case for retreat. This is not passive. This is the most active power there is, the power of conscious witness. You are no longer in the program. You are outside of it, watching it run, and a program observed begins to glitch. Then you move from witness to author. You begin the work of deprogramming. This is not positive thinking, it is forensic editing. You catch the old script, I am not enough, and you do not chant the opposite. You challenge its authority. You ask the single most destructive question to the old regime, says who, and you trace it. You follow the fear back, not with emotion, but with the cold focus of a detective. You find the original moment, the buried logic, and you present new evidence to the court of your own mind. Not flowery affirmations, but cold, hard, factual counter-evidence from your own adult life. You retrain the system not with wishes but with data. Stop letting the subconscious drive. You take the wheel in the middle of the journey. When it tries to reroute you down the old, familiar road of fear, you consciously, physically do the opposite action. You feel the terror to speak up, and you speak. You feel the overwhelming aversion to starting, and you take the first, tiny mechanical step. You do not do this because the fear is gone. You do it because you have identified the fear as the weapon. You act despite the program's protest, and in that action, you write new code. You prove to the ancient system, through experience, that the unknown did not kill you, that vulnerability did not destroy you, that success did not cause a cataclysm. You are manually installing new firmware, line by line, action by action. This is how you move from autopilot to author. You stop being the character in the tragedy written by a ghost. You pick up the pen. You become ruthless about the narrative. You audit your own inner dialogue and fire the liar. You choose your actions based on conscious intent, not on the ebb and flow of manufactured emotion. You build a new identity, not from the top down with empty statements, but from the ground up with defiant choices. You stop trying to change the feeling to change the action. You change the action to change the feeling. You starve the old programs of compliance and feed the new ones with proof. The path is not one of constant victory. It is a path of constant recognition. You will fail. The old driver will grab the wheel. But now you will know it. And in that knowing, you are free. The cycle is broken the moment you see it as a cycle. The prison door was never locked. It was just heavy, and you were told it was a wall. You have been shown the door. You have been given the reason to push. Now, push.